Hi friends, hope all is well. We have been talking about different aspects of real estate, and today I'm going to talk about a new trend, and especially new technologies and trend in real estate brokerage. Why do we need to talk about that? Is because there is a new law where an agent from buyer agent cannot be charging a seller, because that was very usual that a seller will advertise that basically I am selling such and such property, and a buyer brokerage or buyer agent will bring in a buyer, look at it, and that person is helping completely the buyer, but he's supposed to charge a seller. So it's a conflict of interest. So many people were getting sued, and now most companies do not allow advertisement in that case, that basically you are paying 2% compensation to buyer's agent. Redfin and many companies try to create new ideas, new loopholes, where they were actually sharing portion of their brokerage amount. But now people are still kind of doing it, but I am envisioning that that's going to stop, because some more people are going to get lawsuit on that regard, because it's a clear conflict of interest that a seller is supposed to pay 2 or 3% to buyer's agent. It's clear conflict of interest, because if you are truly representing the buyer, then how could you really charge the seller? It was a norm, but that is against the law. And so people cannot really do this in the long term. So what's going to happen? People are going to start talking directly, are new trends, a new technology is going to emerge. So I honestly always believe that whenever a new technology, a trend comes, new trends really take over the old trends, and early adopters benefit from it. So always people who go into denial, and when they go into denial, they basically stay behind. I mean, when the computer came and the companies who were making typewriters, there was a Wang Center here in Lowell, and all they were doing was a typewriter. They went from a mechanical typewriter to electronic typewriter, thinking that that's going to do it. Look what happened. It's completely wiped out, and the company is wiped out. Kodak filmmaker, they were keep making different types of films where the total picture taking really changed. So these are called disruptive technologies or trends. When a disruption happens, there are people who are early adopters, and there are people who just totally miss the boat. And those who miss the boat, they get replaced. So it's very important, and that's the reason I try to teach people that you really need to be ahead of the curve. What does that mean? That if you plot time versus trend, and then an adoption, a marketing, that of course as the time goes by, the adoption is very, very quick, and the marketing is quick, and you have a product selling very fast, and then it goes to peak, and then every single product that goes to peak, then it cannot go anywhere. It has to come down. And the idea is realizing where the peak is and predicting the peak yourself, and starting another product before the peak, and then creating an adoption, and then more and more. And this is exactly how you go before the peak. You start another product, and then you go up this way. If you really do not understand that process, and you do not cannibalize your own product, that's the reason you will see that iPhone is keep coming up with new version and new product, because they're trying to cannibalize their own product so somebody else does not come and replace them. Okay, so now let's go back to real estate brokerage. So real estate brokerage, if they do not cannibalize and come up with a new trend themselves, trust me, they will be replaced with a totally new market. So I do see there is a lot of hesitation in real estate brokerage. They do not really have a real understanding, and they believe that this is just a time and it'll pass by, and somehow they'll continue their old brokerage model. That is not going to happen. I will show you the curve here too, and you will be able to see it, that how adoption and cannibalization happens. So my vision is that this old brokerage model is absolutely going to be disrupted by a new trend and technology. So whenever a new trend and technology come, what do you have to do? You have to retool yourself. If you retool yourself, repurpose yourself, and you not only become early adopter, but early envisioner, and when you are early envisioner, you are able to stay ahead of the curve, and now you are the inventor of the new trend and are one of the inventors, and then you then replace the old trend. So now it is up to you whether you want to be replaced or you want to replace. That is your choice. So now I must say there is one way. There are many ways. There's going to be lots of technologies involved, and today I'm not going to talk about the new technology needed. That would be another day's subject. Today I'm going to talk about what skills you need to stay ahead of the curve, an innovator and a leader instead of a lagger, instead of being replaced. So what do you need to do? One way you can retool yourself. Yes, people still need to buy and sell houses. So how you can retool yourself? You are not going to be able to make your 2% anymore in the long run. You won't. Seller will not be paying for you to be a buyer's agent. Yes, seller may pay to be a seller's agent and buyer may pay to be a buyer agent. So that's one way, and that's one way you can retool yourself. You can repurpose yourself. That openly brand that we represent you, and then we get paid from you. Now you may ask, why would a buyer pay 2%? Because they never did. They actually like to take portion of the 2%. And seller, yes. But the buyer, why would the buyer pay the agent? Why? Because the agent has to be able to deliver a different and unique value. What does that mean? If a buyer is going to buy $1 million home, let's give an example. And in the old methodology, you show them a bunch of houses, and finally, when you make an offer and that get accepted, you get 2 to 3% paid by the seller, and you are representing a buyer. Now, if that is not going to happen, then the buyer himself and herself has to pay. But you have to prove that you're creating more value. You may say, oh yeah, I was creating always a value. I was showing a lot of houses. Really? That was the value in the past. That is not good enough nowadays. Because when the buyer is paying you, because buyer was not paying you, so they were calling bunch of agents, and they didn't care for your time. They didn't care for your time because for them it was free. But now when they know that they have to pay, it could be either time based, that they pay you how much time you, believe me, it's good in the long run for everybody. You won't be wasting time. It's not like a buyer pick up the phone and tell you, hey, can you show me this house? And then the next day they call somebody else. That's not going to be the way in the long run. Maybe few years, 2 years, 5 years max. So what do? You create new value proposition. And that's the reason I name my company Rchvmax, maximizing your value. You don't have to name yourself Rchvmax, but you can still maximize their value. So how do you maximize your buyer's value beyond typical showing houses? Well, certainly you can help them negotiate a better deal. That is one value, and you can present yourself. There are many ways you can present yourself, but I told you I believe in unique way, and I believe in comprehensive package, and I believe in new skills, new tool set. And what would be a new tool set? If you can understand that what are the hidden factors in the costing of a house. So you say, oh no, we already know, we just do market study and we know what the true price is. I'm sorry. Most agents don't really know. They don't have the skills to understand some very few might do. Like for example, I'm an engineer, developer, and broker. So for me, I always say that what would be the true cost and what are the true features of the house which actually add up the value. Because a lot of people, a lot of agents only look at square feet and they only compare square feet when they do their analysis. That is actually a wrong analysis to begin with. They need to understand that it's not just the square feet. It's actually many factors that make the house price, and those factors are not really counted always in any kind of comparison analysis. The comparison analysis is a very generic and very overall square footage and major features, but the kind of features I'm talking about, the hidden factors of the cost, those are not put in any sheet, and hence they do not understand the value. If you can educate yourself and educate your buyer, then the buyer will understand your value, and that's how you can market yourself. And for that, if you want to understand what are the hidden factors, I have video called 10 hidden factors in the costing of houses. I have 2-3 other videos as well, where basically high efficiency houses or low cost maintenance houses. These are the costing models that where not only you see the square footage, but you see the volume. You see what kind of siding, what kind of roofing, what kind of course, site as well, but what kind of basement, height of bedrooms, height of the first floor, what type of tiles and quartz and kitchens are used. I understand that there are overall factors you can do, but if you understand the actual value of height, if you can understand the actual value of volume, not square footage, if you can actually understand the different type of siding, a lot of people don't even know what is the 3-dimensional siding versus 2-dimensional siding, the material of siding, what really make the energy efficiency, because a lot of time people just don't even know the energy code. So try to educate yourself with the energy code. Energy is a very big thing, because 10 years ago you could have a Hertz rating of 100. Now you need to have a Hertz rating of 42. You used to have 10% air leakage. Now you need to have less than 3%. There are many other factors. So you need to educate yourself with the ERV, new HVAC system, dual energy HVAC. You need to educate yourself with what are the trends in insulation, what are the trends in volume, what are the trends in heights, what are the trends in different type of siding and insulation and kitchens and counters, and what is the longevity. And then most importantly, calculate what is their operating cost versus the fixed cost. What is the operating cost of a house? How much does it cost to operate that house in the next 20 years versus what is the actually fixed cost? Because then you can differentiate between a new house and old house price. So these are the type of things you need to retool yourself and rebrand yourself, so that instead somebody replace you, you replace many, and you are in front of the trend. You are the next Redfin. If you want to be the next Redfin of this industry, then you really need to retool yourself, and you need to realize what's going on in the industry and innovate instead of being replaced. So this is for today. Until next time, we'll talk about what are the technology trends you can develop that will help you rebrand and retool yourself. Until then, you have a happy, healthy life, and we'll talk to you soon.